France is to keep its islands in the South Pacific for now, after New Caledonia voted against independence on Sunday with a lukewarm no. The French territory had been expected to vote massively against cutting ties with Paris, but the result, just 56% against, proved much closer than forecast. French President Emmanuel Macron welcomed the result. The only defeat is for the temptation towards contempt, division, violence and fear, he said. The only winner is the peace process, which has carried New Caledonia forward over the last 30 years. The spirit of dialogue that ensures unrest will never return. The referendum was promised by France in the wake of a violent uprising in 1988 that left 21 people dead. The close result leaves open the possibility of a new independence bid in the years to come. Under the terms of a peace deal with indigenous Kanak rebels, up to 2 further referenda can be called over the next 4 years. Richard Good, Euronews.
Well, I'm joined now for more on this story from Sydney in Australia by Alexandre Dayant. He's a research fellow at the independent think tank, the Lowy Institute. Good morning to you, Mr. Dayant. Thank you for joining us on the programme this morning. Now, there wasn't much doubt about which way this election result would go, but is it still a significant victory for the French president?
Well, I think, look, there wasn't much doubt about the result. We knew that the no to become independent would pass. But what was striking, actually, was the fact that the yes, I want to become independent result is actually much better than what we were expecting, right? So there was like, I think, 56% for the no, 44 for the yes. So basically, it's a very good point it's a very good argument for the Kanak to continue their fight for independence.
Just explain a little bit more. Yeah. Just explain, sorry, Mr. Dayant, just explain a little bit more about that, because this vote was, to a large extent, along ethnic lines, with the indigenous Kanak people voting to leave, to secede from France.
Yeah, well, as your show just taught us, like this fight has been going for like more than 30 years. Actually, you have to go back to 150 years back of colonialism time, when the French used this island as a penal colony. And so for all this time, the Kanak population really wanted to be identified within the French citizenship as like a proper entity, but they never really could do this. And they uprised in the 1980s, and the result of this uprising is like the vote that we saw yesterday, where the Kanak really tried to identify themselves as like a proper nation.
And we've seen almost a sort of quasi-civil war in the 1980s over this issue. Do you think this vote could reignite those tensions?
Well, I think this vote is actually showing the fact that, well, first, the French government really did its work very well in organizing the event. There was like a turnout of 80%, which proved that the referendum process really worked and was legitimate. But also, as you said, right, like the Kanak population on the territory really vote massively and express massively through like the voting system to say that they existed. So like there's a clear distinction now between the Kanak people and the Caldoche, which are like the French people who arrived after like colonization. And so now the challenge for the French government is going to actually to have both of this society to work and to go forward together.
And Mr. Dayant, how important is this territory for France, economically speaking?
Well, New Caledonia sits on 1/4 of the world reserve of nickel. Nickel is a mineral that we use in many of like the industrial products. You find nickel in your phone, in your TV, almost everywhere. So it is a big resource for the French government, despite the fact that now the price of nickel is not very profitable. It is still good for France to have this territory and all these resources of nickel. But additionally, there's not just the economic aspect of it. There's a geostrategic aspect of having a presence in the Pacific. And with this, with New Caledonia, France has a military base in the Pacific and can actually justify its status of international power and of like a UN member of the Security Council. So that's an important space for France, yeah.